So you keep leaving people in the dust. You talked a lot about fasting for years. You went all the way into like dry fasting. Talked a lot about keto. Talked a lot about these a lot of different types of diets over the years. And then you dropped a bomb on everybody with sugar fasting. People got all fired up, all excited. And now you even tweaked that. Why do you keep tweaking things? Because some people view it as you just like switching from one thing to another. But I view it more as that it's like an evolution, like you're doing something and it's your body or the people that you're helping not responding quite as well as you would like. And then so you're making adjustments. It's not just you switching from one thing to another. That's kind of how I see it.
So my whole YouTube channel from day one has been based on it's shortcut fucking gimmicks. And like I see this on YouTube, like I started, so the first thing I ever talked about was the prolonged water fasting. Okay, that like it's the biggest fucking gimmick known to man, and that got me on TV. This is what people are looking for nowadays. They're looking for fucking shortcuts. And this whole sugar fiasco, sugar diet, and sugar fasting, what it actually ended up doing is leading guys like myself that actually grew up in a time before the internet back in the early 90s, late 80s, when I think that North America specifically was at the pinnacle of dieting advice. It brought me all the way back there. It brought me back because there's a few things that came good from that where, dropping the fat through the floor. So now I have conviction with that. Yanking lean protein out of your fucking diet and restricting protein is fucking ridiculous. Like risking muscle loss is fucking retarded. So there's that. And like you come from that same background. So this is going to be a good talk because, you're a little bit older than me. And what happened was, like you say, I coach a lot of people and I started seeing like people are always looking for gimmicks. And I'm not going to lie, I'm the king of fucking gimmicks. Okay. And then you see all the other YouTube channels too, because that's what sells. And really anything, there's no replacement for a low fat, prioritizing lean protein, whole foods, carbohydrates diet. There's no fucking replacement for it. And that's what this whole thing brought me back to now. And it also made me refine my coaching because now I can just coach fat people, no gimmicks, no fucking calorie counting. I'm getting them even off the scale because all I do is I just coach them on food choice. If you show me your food choices, I'll show you where you're going to get. It's as simple as that. And this is the thing. A lot of stuff back in the late 80s, early 90s with even the bodybuilding culture. Like, you've heard of Susan Powder when she was pushing low-fat dieting. Like, they would have learned all that shit from, like, late 80s female bodybuilders, and their diets were rock-bottom fat, lean fucking protein, and carbohydrate, and they were ripped year-round, and obviously they had tightened shit up before a show. And I started doing a lot of research into that shit. And if you want to give me a minute, I could even talk about some of the politics that really led to this whole fucking high fat movement in the late 90s. And it's funny because you have experience with wrestling. Your brother, obviously he was in the WWF back in the day, and fucking I was a kid watching fucking WWF. But it was very interesting. I started digging deep, and I got a lot of followers who are like in their mid 40s, early 50s, and they're like, holy fuck, cool. Since he started just promoting low fat dieting, lean protein, I even have a lady that's 70 years old and competed in bodybuilding in the 80s, and they just lost their way. They just lost their way. I only had to talk to her for 5 minutes. I'm like, low fat fucking diet, lean protein, clean carbs. Even the refined sugar doesn't fucking need to be there. You don't need to add sugar to your fucking sugar sources that are whole foods. Like, this is fucking common sense. So anyway, I knew some of this history, some of this politics. It had to do with Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon. So you had the low fat craze, which people that were eating low fat were getting results. And really, you could actually say that Menser started really promoting lower fat in the bodybuilding community in the late 70s. And then the early 80s, 90s bodybuilders were fucking 20 times better condition than the guys back in the day. And even like there's even Serge Nabray he actually got fucking whacked out of competing in a bodybuilding competition with Arnie, and he was fucking shredded on like zero fat horse meat, right? Like, so anyway, I don't want to get on off topic there, but like with Vince McMahon, so he was getting charged with distributing steroids to the WWF wrestlers in 1992, right? And so he had to go on damage control. And this is right when low fat, it was low fat, right? You had Susan Powder showing food choices, and she was more catering to mainstream. And you had the 80s bodybuilders, they're all fucking like diced, low fat dieting. And so what happened is Vince McMahon hired a guy, you know this shit, Mauro Di Pasquale, who was basically the medical director for the WBF Bodybuilding Federation. And so he hires him to go on damage control. And one thing led to another, and they created the anabolic diet, which is, it's gimmick as fuck. And then they started testing that fucking high fat diet on some of those wrestlers, and they just got soggy as fucking hell because it was a gimmick to fucking try, because you know WWF is supposed to be family friendly, right? It was a gimmick to fucking say, oh, these wrestlers are doing this anabolic diet, which is essentially high fat during the week, carb cycling on the weekends. And then that led to, you know, snap into a Slim Jim, right? Like, it led to this whole fucking high fat bullshit that's confused everybody. And you even go back to you go back to Atkins. So Atkins was deader than dead since like 1972. It was dog shit. And Atkins ends up revising the Atkins diet in 97, and now you got the Atkins diet blowing up. And then you got like the .com bubble, and then you got people, that's when the diet religion really started. So now all the fucking shit, I'm trying to dig up old VHS tapes of old school dieting where these people, you know, when we're talking about the fat intake in that diet, the only fucking fat that's in that diet was in the lean meat sources. And I've been running, like, you can run, and this is what all, you know this, because you know, coming from bodybuilding shit, they never added fat to that diet, whether they were bulking, cutting, at maintenance, they were never adding dietary fat to that diet. And so anyway, that's what all this shit led me to. And now I'm literally going back to the way I was dieting. I was doing this shit when I was 12 years old. I literally cut for bronze gloves when I was fucking turning 13. And I knew intuitively to cut the fat out of that fucking diet when I was a fucking child. And I used to do the same for the powerlifting meets, because if we're talking muscle mass preservation, nothing is going to give you the best fucking body composition over a low-fat diet, lean fucking protein, getting it in, and carbohydrate. And then if you want to get really anal with shit, you know, guys cutting for the bodybuilding shows would be even yanking the carbs down and even bumping the protein up even more, right, for the short term to get just diced. So, like, that's where I'm at. So my whole YouTube channel up to this point is fucking bullshit. Along with everybody else, anybody that's pushing fasting. Like, fasting's not a place if you're sick. But, you know, I know you always bring this up where things have, like, you know, what's the word you use? Not merit, but there's just no place for any of this yo-yo dieting bullshit, Mark. It's all just fucking excuses to still have a bunch of fucking dietary fat in your diet. And even the calorie restricting, all of a sudden you have fat in that diet, your metabolism goes to shit, which doesn't happen when you knock the fat out of that diet. Like, dietary fat fucks your metabolism. It fucks your metabolism. And that's why a lot of these people on a carnivore diet, and like, I just get on a rant on this, but like, even the fucking fatty meat, the carnivore diet itself, the way it's sold, is man-made as fuck. And they try to make it, because there's no fat in fucking nature. You didn't have any of this fat volume. Like, post-industrial revolution is when it really blew up because you needed tech. But if you go to where I live right now and you had to live off the land, we're talking wild game meat. We're talking wild chickens, deer meat as lean as fuck. We're talking berries, vegetables, peas and carrots, and fucking potatoes. Lean for fucking life. Clean dieting. There's no fucking fat out there. There's no fucking ribeye steaks. Even the oils, like the nuts and shit, like avocados are like fucking exotic. You know, there's just no real fat out there. Even the lions, them saying, oh, these cats eat all this fucking carnivore. Fuck. Those cats are eating lean, fucking wild game. It's lean as fuck. And the reason those cats can pull it off and get enough glucose is because they're eating so much lean meat that they're fucking swinging over a lot of that protein into carbohydrate from gluconeogenesis. You know, that's what's going on. And so now I'm pushing clean fucking dieting, cut the fat right the fuck out, prioritize that lean protein. I even tell the fat people that literally eat the lean protein till there's no hunger. And then backfill to kill your sweet tooth with carbohydrate. And those ratios will be completely intuitive until you get lean, like where you're at, where you're eating a certain amount of protein till you're pretty much done with it. And there'll be an upper limit where you'll just quit eating. You don't got to give them macro splits or fuck all. And then you'll just end up eating carbs to make up the calories because you're getting so low on body fat.
Yeah, I'm getting jacked over here, which is great. I mean, I've already been in shape for like a long time, but I'm noticing some cool subtle differences over the last couple weeks since even just the sugar diet, like just opening up the vault to be able to eat more carbohydrate has been something that's amazing.